Good morning, colleagues. We will now start. I know that we haven't had coffee or tea yet, but they are busy setting up, so you are welcome, not all at one time, but you go and get yourself some coffee and something for breakfast as we go along, so that we can proceed with our meeting. Welcome to the meeting. We have apologies. We have apologies received from the speaker. She is attending the funeral today, as well as Dr. Koornoff, Ms. Sibuya, Ms. Ngobeni, and Mr. Swart. Are there any other apologies? Honorable Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Morning to you and colleagues. I have an apology of the Chief Whip of the largest party. Is attending PAP. Thank you.
Any Honorable Ntlangeni.
Morning, Deputy Speaker, morning members. I have an apology for the Chief Whip of the EFF and the Honorable Mkalipi. Thank you.
Thank you, noted. On that point, I also just want to remind members of the letter sent by the Speaker on the 11th of September in terms of the committee membership. So please make sure that you have the requisite number of members here. If you have only one member, then it's one member. If you have two, it's only two. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Yeah, just an apology for Muzi Chingila.
Thank you, noted. Any other apologies? Not, those apologies have then been noted. We go to the next point on the agenda, and that is the consideration of the agenda. You all have that agenda in front of you. Could I have a proposer for the agenda that we adopted? Honourable Dugmore? Honourable Dugmore, do you propose?
Do I need to verbalize that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I propose that we accept the agenda.
Thank you. Any seconder? Honourable Michalakis, thank you very much. We then proceed with the agenda as adopted. We then move on to the minutes of the meeting of the 5th of September. This has been circulated, members. Could I have a proposer for the adoption of the minutes? Honourable Dlakudi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move for the adoption of the minutes as a true reflection of what was discussed in this meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, noted. Seconder, Honourable Denner.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I second that we adopt the minutes as is.
Thank you, and it is adopted. We then proceed to matters arising. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Tkasu.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and good morning, honourable members. The first item relates to the quality of replies to questions. We would like to report that the Speaker has since written to the Leader of Government Business, indicating what is expected when members of the executive respond to questions, that at least the points reflected in the question must be responded to, must be answered. But also to say that the matter is also before the subcommittee on the review of the rules of the NA, and hopefully when the subcommittee reports back to the Rules Committee in October, it will make further recommendations on the matter. Deputy Speaker, it was also raised yesterday and last week, the issue of the prioritization of questions during question time. That is a matter that will also be serving before the subcommittee. Members are concerned that some of the ministers will be in attendance, but they would not have an opportunity to reply to their questions. So the subcommittee will also consider that matter and make recommendations. The next one relates to off-site committee venues. The Secretary to Parliament had committed to visit these venues or get a report on the state of these venues. We would like to give a report on that. Just to indicate that we have all in all 21 venues that are available to Parliament. 15 of those venues are within the precincts And except for 6, the rest take a minimum of 30 members, the rest of the venues. Now, there are 6 venues outside that are available on request. We have the list there. They may have been mentioned before. At the FFC, which takes about, Salga takes about 70 plus. FFC takes 30. And National Student Financial Aid Scheme takes 40. Public Service Commission takes 30. And the Castle of Good Hope takes 30. But all these venues are only available on booking. Now, I've spoken to the capacity of the venues, also to indicate that, go down, they are all within a 2-kilometer radius, except for one venue, which is 2.6 away. There are no broadcast facilities in all the venues. We only have this venue and M46 that has broadcast facilities, but there will be recording facilities. But our ICT head is here, and he has informed me that during the recess, 2 venues will be attended to in addition to this, so that by the time we come back, there will be broadcast facilities in those venues, Mr. Polia, but he's here to augment what I'm saying. All the venues have sound projection equipment available for use, and all venues have lift access where applicable. And of course, where there is need for catering is arranged. And all the venues have air conditioning except for the Castle of Good Hope venue. It does not have that facility. And all the venues have in-house cleaning services. And again, the venues are available. Honorable Deputy Speaker, that is a report of the Secretary to Parliament that he has asked. Of course, he apologized that he couldn't be here. He's out on official business. But he asked that we present this feedback to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. Kasu. Honorable members, I will now give up opportunity for any questions on this particular report back on the matters arising. Honorable Manye.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On the issue of the, thank you very much, Mr. Tasso, with the comprehensive feedback. I wanted to just add a little bit of something, Chairperson, on the issue of ministers responding to questions. I think I want to propose that ministers must not delegate deputy ministers for a genuine reason. And the reason is this: deputy ministers don't attend cabinet. So a particular issue which might have been discussed at a cabinet committee level, it must still be escalated into cabinet. When it gets to cabinet, much more deeper discussion goes on, and more other views from other ministers get taken on board and all of that. So the depth of understanding on the particular issue that the minister has, the deputy minister has got no sight of that. Now, it's easy for the original question to be responded to because that can be prepared by officials and what have you. But when you've got 4 parties that on that same matter are going to drill down, then you need a semblance of a deep understanding of the issue. But if you're a deputy minister that has got only half the story, you are ill prepared to do follow-up questions. So we end up with wishy-washy responses and all of that. And deputy minister saying, no, this is not in my area and all of that when something is in their area. This is because they are ill prepared to deal with things that are discussed at cabinet, which they don't attend. So I want to recommend strongly, Chair, that the issue of responses to ministers must only be responded to by, if a minister is not available, probably better another minister, because that other minister would have been in the cabinet and they would then also have that collective responsibility as cabinet members, but not deputy ministers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manye. Just perhaps to remind members that this matter has been referred to the subcommittee, the Rules Subcommittee, for a thorough investigation and to come with proposals. So I think that is where it will be addressed and where decisions will be made. But your point is taken. Thank you very much. Then I have Honorable Dlakudi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I'm just checking because the last time we were here, if Mr. Klaso and the team would be able to brief us on the issue of the dome, because that was also going to assist with committee rooms. So we were told last time that DPW will be able to brief the meeting with regard to that, if they are available to assist.
Thank you, Honorable Dlakudi. Mr. Klasu, I don't know if you have any update on that.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the update we have is that we're still waiting on Public Works to present a comprehensive report on the matter. There is a commitment to convene a Chief Whips Forum meeting, special Chief Whips Forum meeting, once that report is available. So even if it's during the recess, the meeting could always be online if necessary. But a report will be given once Public Works has submitted their report.
Thank you. I then have Honorable Mente.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and good morning to all the colleagues. Deputy Speaker, let's appreciate that there's an undertaking that the rules will report, sub-rule committee will report in October, meaning which all the matters in particular that are relating to ministers not answering questions will be dealt with, as well as extending the time period within which questions are asked. But we need to also look into the advice that the Chief Whip of MK is putting across, because during member statements, we hear ministers responding on other sister departments, and they make a valuable input in some cases, and in some cases they waffle. But in a case where a deputy minister was not prepared at all to answer the question, they must just not say anything. But most importantly is the people who are presiding. They must be able to call off nonsense in the House, because we cannot allow people to degenerate to a level of just standing up and embarrass all of us as South Africans. To stand up and say, I am speaking on behalf of the executive, yet we do not have an answer. This goes to written questions as well, because the same cabinet minister from the same party, the Minister of Basic Education, Gwarube, received a written question about basic education, transport of schools in the Eastern Cape that do not have transport at all in terms of the scholar transport for the children. And her response says, this is not within my competency, right to the legislature. What minister responds like that? The least a minister can do is to say, because I have a time period within which I have to respond to you as a member, please allow me to extend so that I can reach out to the province and understand what is going on, because this is the competency of basic education, irrespective of which province it's occurring in. You can't refer a member of parliament to the legislature. We are serving the people, therefore the minister must answer to the House and not refer members to elsewhere. So that also has to be looked into by the sub-rules, because now that's another tendency which the new ministers are coming up with. But secondly, on the issue of the dome, it's unacceptable that we will only convene when Public Works is available. Public Works have been knowing that they must prepare for the dome since the establishment of Parliament, because the first induction, we said and had a special Chief Whips Forum where Public Works came to present the status of having Parliament in session with everyone inside. Public Works knew from that time, that was in June, that they must prepare the dome. And to date, we must be told we must wait for Public Works. It cannot be, it's not acceptable. Public Works, if they cannot do it, therefore, Parliament must bring back the marquee. And the excuse that the marquee is not safe is also very wrong and incorrect. A president of the country addresses imbizos meetings in marquees. So you are saying marquees are suitable for our general public. They are not suitable for us. How is a marquee not safe for members of parliament? When funerals, weddings, imigidi, everything happens in tents. That's not proper. And we should mind our language in terms of this comfort we want to create for ourselves and not lie. Because there's nothing wrong with a marquee. That marquee we had, not even a single person tripped over it. Not even a single person injured a toenail. Now we are told it's unsafe. So if we don't have a dome, the undertaking all of us we had, even in the Chiefs Forum and this programming, is that we are going to have a full-blown house sitting in October when we come back, and that must happen. We are not, this is the last programming committee we're having. We're not going to have another one until we come back on the 7th of October. And when we come back on the 7th of October, we need to sit in a full-blown House of Parliament with all members. This excuse of Public Works, we're not going to wait for it. Whether they are bringing the dome or not, the Secretary of Parliament must be ready. We need to have our Parliament operating. And then the last one, Chair, in terms of the matters arising, is the issue of the ad hoc committee in terms of the apartheid laws. We didn't get to understand where is the response in that, because there are two things that we have spoken about, the ad hoc committee and how we're going to go about it, which House Chair Frolik was seized with the matter. Then there is the second part of it, which is going to the executive, and the executive will take forever. They can even bring it back on the 5th year of this term, because we can't dictate to them, we can't tell them how to go about dealing with the matters of law. But us, it's our primary function. We can't sit here and not pass legislation and not correct the wrongs of apartheid. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Mente. Yes, in terms of the questions, that is a point well made, and that will be part of the subcommittee's discussions, most definitely. The question of the dome, I think, Mr. Kasu, we will just make sure that we do have a more up-to-date information regarding that, because the intention is that we have a dome when we start in the next term. And then the subcommittee, I don't know, Honourable Frolik, if you would like to comment on that.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and good morning to the colleagues. The matter has been finalized from my side. I think Mr. Kasu just forgot to report on it. The proposal is in front of the Speaker for setting up a specific structure committee. Will then have to be discussed by the Chief Whips. Timeframes will have to be decided on so that it can get the focus, the attention that it should have. I must mention, Deputy Speaker, I worked through those pieces of legislation. It's quite cumbersome, goes all over the place, and it would be better to have it at one center point to manage and report on the progress that will be made. So that is how far we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Frolik. Honourable Nklangwini.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, and I think in the last meeting, Mr. Kaso, I did request, when we are doing the matters arising, we must please do it maybe perhaps in a table form, because I think we are missing some of the matters arising, handling it in this manner, the way we are handling currently. There was also a matter brought by the Chief Whip of the EFF pertaining our motion on the closing of the Israel embassy, and I don't see it reflecting within this minutes. So I want to get an update on that one. And I think on the second one is maybe perhaps if we can also have the letter of the Speaker that you have sent to the leader of government business. I think it's just, since we have raised it as members of parliament with the quality of questions and how questions are being dealt with by the ministers, that we are also taken into light with the letter that went to the minister of, to the leader of government business, and the timeframes and dates in terms of the feedback of this letter, because we have written a letter on the 27th of August on member statements and the minister's availability on member statements. And still there's been no response pertaining to that. A letter have also been sent to the leader of government business. So I think it's also pertinent that when these letters are being sent, we also be taken on board as members of parliament as to when is the feedback going to come back to our offices. And then the last one, I think, I don't think you have handled it in your matters arising, Mr. Klaas, or the one on the sectoral parliaments report. I think much more, the minutes is just saying work is being done regarding or the program, but I think we need much more in-depth response in terms of that. Yet again, timeframes pertaining to these things. To just leave it open-ended like this, I think it will create some form of problems for us. And the flood committee as well, so that we can have timeframes as to when is this committee is going to be established. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable Ndlangwini. Just on the first matter, in terms of the Speaker's letter to the Leader of Government Business, I think that is a matter for the Speaker to decide to what extent she makes or circulates letters that she writes between her and the Leader of Government Business. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Kasu the matter of the embassy. I think that matter has been discussed.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The issue of the resolution of the House on the matter of the Israeli embassy, Speaker did respond to the Chief Whip of the EFF on the 5th of September. And she also indicated that between then and now, there had been about 2 questions to the executive from members of parliament, which were responded to, and also indicated that correspondence had been sent to the executive at the time. And Speaker, the current Speaker, has since also written to the minister, the current minister, about the matter, asking that parliament be provided with progress reports on the issue. So the issue was dealt with. Again, on member statements, the EFF was responded to by the Deputy Speaker, and the executive was written to as well. And I think members would have observed that since then, there's been attendance of ministers in the House, and there have been responses to member statements. Let me see if there's anything else. That there was an issue, in case it's raised again, the issue about the procurement bill and regulations, just to indicate that the Treasury has issued an advisory note to say that the matter is being attended to. And I'm aware that the Speaker also intends to write to the minister to ask that parliament be kept updated on progress in relation to the regulations.
I think the matter of the sectoral
Yes.
parliaments.
House Chairperson Frolick would like to speak to that. Yeah.
Honourable Frolick.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The matter of sectoral parliaments, as I reported when their discussion took place, is one that is part of the strategic plan of the 7th Parliament, and those discussions are taking place tomorrow. There will be a political working group meeting to prioritize and to align all the discussions that took place last week. So it's certainly part of the strategic plan. And once the strategic plan is then finalized and adopted, we will proceed with the implementation.
Thank you, Honourable Frolick. Honourable Dlakude, then I'm going to back to Honourable Sithole. and
you
then
ver-
Honorable Ntlangwini.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Thanks, Mr. Klaso, for your responses. I just want to indicate to this meeting that as the ANC, we have received a medical certificate of the Deputy President. He's off sick, as we all know. So some of the delays might be caused by that. He's not well. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Dlakude. I have Honorable Sitole, Ntlangwini, Dagmore, Frolic.
Thank you very much, Deputy, and greeting to members. I'm trying to check, Honorable Chairperson, about the sitting of Women's Caucus and the scheduling of it, if there is any, because on the minutes it shows that there's some confusion that is happening in that caucus, if that one can be clarified. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kaso. I don't know if you can reply to that one.
Chair, except to say that as soon as the caucus elects the chairpersons, the meetings of the caucus will meet. And yeah, beyond that, I don't have a report.
Thank you. Then Honorable Ntlangwini.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I think the problem that I are having, maybe perhaps Mr. Klaso, is the fact that it's not reflected in the minutes that the chief whip raised the issue on the Israeli embassy. The only line there that is reflected, it's on mutual respect during proceedings of the House and presiding officers. Maybe perhaps I'm missing it somewhere in the minutes, but I don't see it reflecting in this minutes, and that is problematic. If it's reflecting, please just point it out to me. Where is it reflecting? Thank you.
Honorable Ntlangwini, before I give Mrs. Kasu the opportunity, we have already adopted the minutes, so we can't change that now, but I'm going to hand over to Mr. Kasu.
Thank you, ma'am. It's page 4 of the minutes, the third paragraph from the top. My version is page 4. Mr. Dlamini asked whether there was feedback on the resolution that the EFF moved in the assembly on the closure of the Israel embassy in the previous parliament and requested that the matter be revived. He said failure to do so could create an impression that parliament as a lawmaking body did not follow up on the decisions it had taken. And this was followed up by a letter from the chief whip. Thank you.
Thank you. That matter is then resolved. Honorable Dagmore.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I think there has been information that a number of these issues related to questions are going to be dealt with by that subcommittee. And for instance, the example of what we had yesterday, where, you know, when a question is put to a minister and that minister feels that it is located somewhere else, there could even be a procedure to say that before it gets to the House, etc. So that will be dealt with. But I just want to raise a concern that I'm worried that, you know, there is an attempt to create an impression by some of the members that the executive is absent or unwilling. And I don't think that's the case. I think there's a fair issue that can be raised in regard to quality of responses, and those issues have been dealt with. And I think we must be very careful about creating an impression, because if one looks at all the minutes of who's been present and who's not been present, ministers have been present, and we clarified at the beginning that in a hybrid situation, some ministers would log in on a hybrid level. The second issue is, while we need to insist that the ministers are here, they answer questions and they ask the questions properly, we also have to, I believe, Deputy Speaker, ask our presiding officers to be willing to rule when members refer to ministers or deputy ministers or colleagues by their first names, refer to them, for instance, using the word bandit. So if we are not going to have consistent rulings by chairpersons or speakers or deputy or presiding officers, I think that we undermine the dignity of the House. So I'm saying we have to be robust in insisting that ministers be here. But I want to appeal through you, Chair, that we actually even in this committee the other day, when we were sitting here, which is an extension of Parliament, there were members simply referring to people by their first names. And I want to raise a concern about that and request that we have a consistent approach from our presiding officers when members do not respect the rules of this House.
Thank you, Honourable Dugmore. Indeed, I think this is a matter that as presiding officers, we will also discuss in terms of the rulings and the consistency of our rulings. It is also, of course, a matter that is dealt with by the Rules Committee, and your point is taken there on both sides. Honourable Frolick.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, under item 6, the report from the committee section in the minutes, in the 5th paragraph, the Honourable Zungula raised the matter of delegations from portfolio committees that either attend to invitations and also to study tours. Now, I had a discussion with the relevant chairperson on this matter. The speaker also raised the matter of representativity, and representativity is not only numbers of parties, it's also female representativity. But in this instance, the honourable member was not present in the meeting where the matter was discussed and resolved upon by the committee. And I want to urge members that when such instances do occur, instead of bringing it to a programming committee, they should interact with us when it occurs. The chairperson also indicated that they have a WhatsApp group for members where he actually was looking for more members to go, and the Honourable Zungula did not indicate that he wanted to attend the specific function. So we are aware of the issue of representativity, Deputy Speaker, but members must follow the correct communication channels. Otherwise, it creates the impression that chairpersons just do as they please. They do not. They do consult with my office, and I give them an indication as what should happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Frolick. Any other hands? Honourable Sitole.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I think on the issue of membership on when there is a trip, that one need to be re-looked at because it was very embarrassing last time when members they're supposed to go to overseas. Only 5 members were allowed to go to overseas. Only 5. Not even one single member of the IFP that go to overseas, because they have to be 3 from ANC, 1 DA and 1 EFF. So now that thing need to be really looked at because they are all members of the portfolio committee.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I think Honourable Frolick has taken note of that concern. Thank you very much. Any other hands? Honourable Manye.
Sorry, Speaker, Deputy Speaker, just one small issue, but big. I wanted to propose that things that also get taken maybe to the Rules Committee is the issue of decisions by chairpersons that are blatantly, that were, let's say, premised on information that could be shown very easily that it was on the wrong information. As, for instance, yesterday's discussion, it was clear that the decision was premised on a wrong understanding. It later was clarified in the discussion that in fact the matter does belong to National Treasury and all of that, as an example. Now, in a clear case like that, it should not then, we should not then have a straitjacket of saying, if you don't like my ruling, you know the process. You know, I mean, if it's as obvious as that, the chairperson must have the humility to then say, okay, I based this decision in good faith on this set of facts, but it's becoming clear that actually, had I known what I know now, I would have taken a different decision. I'm saying that kind of a process on other matters, it can be apparent in the sitting, as opposed to everything, you know the process. I think that's just a stonewalling of sorts, and it just frustrates and creates temperatures when matters could just be resolved. We're all adults here, we all make mistakes. So if you've made the wrong decision in good faith, based on what you know, few minutes later, the matter is clarified, surely that should invite you to reviewing your decision on the spot. Then we're a dynamic parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Manye. Yes, I think that depends on the situation. I don't think we can be too prescriptive because we don't always have all the sides of all the stories at every time. But we do take note of your comment. Honourable Mente.
Thank you, Chair. Now, in addition to what Honorable Nkalipi mentioned in the last meeting pertaining to multi-party women's caucus, I don't think it's enough what Mr. Klaso is saying, that the only thing that's outstanding is the committee electing the chair. As because it's not like it has ever said and maybe didn't reach a quorum to elect a chair. There has never been a calling of such a meeting. It was called when we're establishing committees, cancelled twice, and it has never been called again. That committee was never called. So it's not a matter of an outstanding matter of electing the chair. The committee itself was never called. So whoever is responsible for doing that has to do it. Same applies to the matters that we bring to the programming committee of DOME and everything. It's because the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament has never been established. We don't know, we are not told why it's not established. And that's a matter that belongs to them. The operations of Parliament belong to the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament. We've never been told. We have been asked to present names. We sent the names as political parties, but the committee is nowhere to be found. Same applies to intelligence. The committee is nowhere to be found. So let's be taken on board on what exactly is happening, because it's not a matter of chairpersons not being elected, but the formation of the committee itself is not taking off. Thank you. No, last one, not to respond to a member, but our problem is not the presence of executive. Our problem is the quality of answers. The presence of the executive is there, even on virtual, they are all there. But the quality of answers, they don't prepare to represent the people. They prepare to just pass the ball. That's our problem. That's the bone of contention. We want quality answers. We want to go back to our constituency with something that we can feel and touch and know we are one. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Mente. We have most definitely taken note of that, specifically the committees that still have to convene. So that was the Joint Standing Committee on Finance and then also the Women's Caucus. We will definitely have a look into that. I see no other hands. We can then proceed with the agenda, the reports. We'll start with the committee report, and that is the Honourable, or rather Doctors Kanyaza Twalu and Dr. Mabata. If you can proceed, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and good morning to members and colleagues. The committee section report on bills. Deputy Speaker, I'll just focus on slides where there are updates. And the first slide is slide number 2, where we report a change in the number of bills before committees now. We have 13 bills before committees, and 9 Section 75 bills and 4 Section 76 bills. Next slide is slide number 9. This is the new bill before the PC on Home Affairs. That is the one-stop border post bill that was referred to the committee last week, and the committee is yet to develop its legislative program. Those are the updates when it comes to the bills before committees. And the last thing, Deputy Speaker, is to report that a document reflecting the statutory appointments that must be done from now to 2030 has been circulated to members as promised. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mbata.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. We will also focus on the updates on our report, which will start from slide number 2. There are 13 bills before the NA committees and currently 19 bills before Parliament. and including recently introduced the One-Stop Border Post Bill, B12 of 2024, as seen on slide number 3, please. The bill is a proposed section 75, and the introduction of the One-Stop Border Post was published on the 11th of September in the ATC. And the bill was also referred to the PC on Home Affairs and to the joint tagging mechanism. The next slide, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, it's slide number 6. On slide number 6, we are reporting on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill, B2D of 2022, which was recently assented to as Act 32 of 2024. The bill was signed into law on the 13th of September, and the assent was published in the ATC on the 16th of September. The second language of the bill, Honorable Deputy Speaker, is Afrikaans. And once our office receives the signed act, it will be sent to the Constitutional Court for safekeeping. And currently, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we've got 17 bills that are before the President. Can I hand over to my colleague, Advocate van der Merwe, with your permission, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Please proceed, Advocate van der Merwe.
Thank you. Good morning, Deputy Speaker. Good morning, members. On our report in respect of constitutional court judgments, where there is a suspended order that affects Parliament, if I may just start by also indicating that a full report has been circulated, and that is available on the email that was sent to members. But in respect of progress, we would like to report on the Mohale matter that affects the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act. Our office briefed the committee, the relevant portfolio committee, on this matter in this week. And the department has also confirmed that the bill was in fact presented to the relevant cabinet committee, and that cabinet committee was yesterday expected to give their feedback on introduction. The department estimates that they will introduce by the 31st of October 2024. The committee is also aware of this date and will follow up with the department directly. In respect of the Women's Legal Centre Trust matter dealing with the Marriage Act and the Divorce Act, of course, the Divorce Amendment Bill has long since been assented to. But in respect of the Marriage Bill, the Portfolio Committee is currently busy with the public hearings phase, and they are considering how to do the provincial hearings. That is all in progress, but like I say, there is a full report on all the other matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate van der Merwe. Honourable members, there you have the bills as well as the committee report. I don't see any hands. Honourable Mente.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. No, it's again on the bills we spoke about in the last programming committee pertaining to bills that were passed and sent to the President, where we do not have an indication of how long will that process take. We understand that he must apply his mind and get further consultations on matters, but it cannot be forever. We must get an indication, because these bills have been sent to him for over almost a year and others are over 2 years. And we do not have any indication of what is going to happen. Let me make an example with the top two, Copyrights and Performance Bill. Those two have been with this Parliament since I arrived. They are now almost going to be 10 years. And performers, artists are dying poor. We are not resolving the matters of productions and everyone else who is taking money out of the future of the artists' children. And we sit here and we do nothing about it. It's very sad. We have to find a way of forcing the President to sign. If he's not going to sign, he must return the bill and tell us what has to be done about it. If we have to involve the Constitutional Court to assist us in deciding what must happen, so be it. But we can't just let it be that, no, once it reaches that stage, it's out of our hands. There's nothing else that we can do. Our primary function is to make sure that the bill becomes an act and it assists our people. As things stand, we're doing nothing about these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Mentor. Yes, that has a matter that has been raised in the past, and unfortunately, the Honourable Koornhof is not present today. But I think that we will make sure that the message does reach him so that he can alert the President to the concerns that members do have. Honourable Manye.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I was going to propose another heading for this report on legislation, and the heading should be bills assented to but not enforceable, whatever is the formulation, because what we have a situation where even though the president has signed, but for one reason or another, one could be regulations are not in place, one could be something else is not where it should be. And then, well, like for instance, yeah, I can mention a few of those, like procurement bill as one and others. So we sit here with a false situation of saying, well, tick a box, when in fact it's a can being kicked down the road. So I'm suggesting that's what we're clear as to where we are. We need to have that heading and track everything. The only time we should remove it from our agenda, it's when it's already in the implementation stage. But if it's assented to but still not enforceable, it's still a half-done job. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it is something that the legal section can have a look at, and as well, perhaps Honourable Frolick at the strategic planning. How do we deal with bills that have been assented to but is not yet enforced, really? Any other hands, colleagues? I don't see anything. We will then proceed to the next item on the agenda, and that is the parliamentary program. Honourable Dugmore.
I think colleagues in their packages should have both the second term, there's not much left of that. And then if that's the suggestion, I would just go through very briefly the third term program. But I think all of us are aware in regard to this term today, after some delays, we finally have been able to program the debate on the urgent matter of public national importance from Member Milam. That will be the first item this afternoon, and then we have the debate on Heritage Day. And then immediately after that, there's a number of considerations of draft notices. I don't want to go into the detail, but I think it's critical that the House deals with issues related to the allowances and benefits of our various Chapter 9 institutions. And that's pretty much what those are about. I think there has been consensus in those committees, and obviously members will have a chance to make declarations. The issue you'll see there under item 5, also the magistrates' allowances also being dealt with, which I think is going to be welcomed by that sector. And then obviously number 6, the whole issue of salaries, allowances and benefits paid to Concourt judges and other judges. So I think it's good that we've been able to deal with those matters before we break for the constituency week. And then, Deputy Speaker, without going into too much detail, members have the draft program for the third term. It's a 9-week program, as all of us know. And it's going to be quite busy, although clearly we need to, add more flesh to it. But looking at page 4, you would see that when we get back, the major focus for that whole week is on committees and oversight. And we all know that committees and their chairpersons have been encouraged to arrange those meetings after constituency week is over, so that our members can get into the field. I also just at this point want to mention, Chair, that there have been colleagues, I think mainly from the EFF, who've raised the issue of oversight in general. And obviously, these are formal committee oversight meetings, but I think when that ad hoc committee meets, it's important that we do deal with issues of oversight where individual members, you know, go to schools or whatever, so that we actually deal with that issue. But this is formal committee oversight. And then in week 14, committees on Tuesday, we haven't scheduled anything for the House. And again, Wednesday, the only plenary in week 14 would be on Thursday, the 17th, which would be the issue of questions to the president. But can I just say the one issue that I just also want to draw members' attention to is on the 11th of October. I'm sorry, I'm just going back quickly to week 13. You would see there that on Friday from 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock, there's the Member Support Forum. Now, we all of us that were part of the strategic planning workshop, there were a number of issues that members raised. And that meeting has now been scheduled for Friday, the 11th of October, to deal with, you know, issues around members' support, etc. So I know the venue still has to be confirmed, but that is for Friday, the 11th of October. And I think it's important that the leadership of the caucuses are there. So that was then back to week 14. The only plenary is questions to the president and those committee reports that we deal with the BRR reports. Then week 15, just very quickly, on Tuesday, the 22nd of October, we have committees in the morning as per normal, but then on that plenary, we'll be dealing with member statements if there is any legislation by then, committee reports, if any. Just on committee reports through the chair, I think you will see that, you know, there has been, for instance, the tabling of various committee reports to bring to the attention of the House. Like I see there's one also from Correctional Services. I think it's important that we utilize this space more of committee reports so that we actually get reports, program them, and then the House actually has a chance to reflect. I see that, for instance, in Correctional Services, they are asking for reports from the Goodwood prison, like in 14 days and stuff like that. And I think it's important. It doesn't seem that our committees are using that space enough. And then we'll also deal with motions with and without notice on that Tuesday. On Wednesday, the 23rd, we deal with questions for oral reply, cluster 5, the other economic cluster. And then on Thursday, the 24th, we have again a plenary. And you would see there that at the moment, you know, there's legislation possible. Doesn't really look like we'll have, but there's a big gap for committee reports again. So we should really try and encourage the chairs of our committees and the committees themselves to push these reports so that we can program them. And then on Friday, there is the proposed scheduling of mini plenary sessions, the subjects for discussion by the IFP and the ANC in the mini plenary number 1, and then in mini plenary number 2, the PA, Patriotic Alliance, and the DA. That's their opportunity. And as you know, in the week that follows, which will be week 16, we then have an opportunity to discuss decisions of questions on matters debated in the mini plenaries. Week 16, Tuesday, another full plenary dealing with statements, committee reports, and then importantly, decision of questions on matters debated in the mini plenaries. Maybe, and I'm not sure if it's totally my place to say this, Chair, but we all know that one of the decisions is now almost below the line where there was an amendment. Remember the EFF. I just think that maybe the whips, but that's maybe a matter for the Chief Whips Forum, need to look at how we meet each other halfway to get resolutions through and how we deal with issues of amendments so that the House can unite over something that all of us agree. Then on Wednesday, we start getting into the critical issue where the actual medium-term budget policy statement is tabled. And what's introduced are appropriations rates and monetary amounts and also the taxation law. So that's literally the MTBPS day, Wednesday, the 30th of October. Questions to the Deputy President. We pray and hope that he will be well enough to take those questions on Thursday, the 31st of October. And then we go on to week 17. Again, you'll see their member statements, motions, notices, and consideration of the budget review. Once again, 6th of November, Peace and Security Cluster. And then we again on Friday, the 8th of November, we've got mini plenary sessions and also committee reports and any international agreements. So there's not detail on that yet, but we need to get to that detail. Moving on, week 18, Tuesday, again, we have member statements, the debate on 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, budgetary review, and then again, decision of questions on matters related to the mini plenaries. Yeah, Wednesday, the 13th, it's clear there what the plenary is. Questions for oral reply. We go back to cluster 2, social services, and then the revised fiscal framework and revenue proposals. Thursday, mini plenaries. Those are now being programmed for a Thursday, as members will see. There, the FF Freedom Front Plus has the opportunity to bring a subject for discussion, as does the ANC and also the MK Party and the Economic Freedom Fighters on Thursday, the 14th. Then we go to week 19, scheduled there for the plenary members, legislation, decision on questions, again, motions with and without notice. Wednesday, cluster 3 governance. Thursday, again, not too much there at the moment for the plenary, any legislation, consideration of budgetary review. And then we go to week 20, and I think we have a big day on Tuesday, the 26th, because there we will be dealing with the report of the Standing Committee on Appropriations on the Division of Revenue, the second reading of that Division of Revenue, and then once again, opportunity for those committee reports. Wednesday, the 27th, we deal with the cluster 4 economics cluster questions for oral reply. And then Thursday, also a big plenary day. All those reports on the various bills that would have been tabled on the 30th of October, and the second reading on second reading, although there'll be no debates on those second readings. And then we hit literally the last week, and members should prepare themselves for a very long plenary, it seems, on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, where there will be consideration on the Standing Committee reports, and then there'll be first reading on the adjustments, and obviously that means now going through all the votes and the schedules for the adjustment appropriation bill, second reading, and then there'll be some farewell speeches. And I don't know, Chief, Honorable Manyi knows that he, as the opposition chief whip, will have to lead the farewell speeches on that day. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just preparing him. And then we have committees on the last 3 days. So that's it. There obviously still some detail to be filled, but it's going to be quite a hectic 9-week program. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Dugmore. I also omitted to mention right at the start that looking forward to 2025, we have been informed that the President has written to the Speaker advising that he would like to deliver his State of the Nation address on 6 February. So 6, yes. So please take note of that. I allow members now, Honourable Tlhakudi, Honourable Mhlangwini, Honourable Ghana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thanks, Honorable Dugmore, for the presentation of the program. Honorable Deputy Speaker, on week 13, it's Oversight Week. So I just want to say that we can't have caucuses on that week because members will be on oversight. Then the second item is that one of the Friday 11th, that we can have member support forum. I think it will not work because some of the members who are serving in that members forum will be on oversight. It will be a fruitless and wasteful expenditure for them to cancel their oversight. I want to propose that for the members support forum, maybe if they can be in the late afternoon, a meeting can sit of this forum on the week, that week 14. The member support forum can sit maybe later in the afternoon, let's say 5 o'clock. I'm sure committees would be done by that time. Thank you very much. That's my proposal. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Dlakude. I'm sure Honourable Warren would like to reply to that.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Speaker. We can look into that. The difficulty is, of course, that this is a joint forum with the NCOP. When we provisionally agreed on the date of Friday, the 11th, we were under the impression that it would be a committee week and not necessarily an oversight week. So it will unfortunately then also require a day where their program indicates early ending of their business along with ours, but we'll further liaise with them and come back to the programming committee.
Thank you, Honourable Horn. Yes, and I think it's very important as that particular forum is critical and that it is necessary that they do start meeting. Then I have Honourable Ndlangwini.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I will maybe propose as well, maybe perhaps, because in the past we used to do it, maybe we get a day out into the recess for that committee to sit, because as you have said, Deputy Speaker, it is a critical committee and it needs to start doing its work. Then to just put it on a late afternoon, you know, it won't be too effective. Members will be tired and all of those things. So I'll propose with the chair, maybe perhaps we look into a day out of recess for that one. And then secondly, on the program, I don't see any commitments to venues as yet for the plenary sessions. And I think maybe perhaps it's deliberate while we are still working on the marquee and the dome issue. So there must be some commitment to venues because we need to come back in a full physical in the next term, because it's going to be a full on last stretch of our year. And then on the one pertaining as well to venues, because on the 30th of October, it will be the medium-term budget statement. And yet again, I don't see any commitments to venues yet as well for that. So if we can get clarifications on that. And then on I agree with the whip on the programming, the committee reports. I think we need to push it, House Chair, maybe perhaps in giving this committee's time frame so that when these reports are coming, it's still fresh to members. Because at times you get reports here of that oversight trip that have happened 2 years ago or a year ago, or you know, something that have happened in the committee very late, and members have to go and dig deep in some of the research and get committee reports as to what have happened on that particular meeting and so forth. So I think we need to push really the chairpersons of committees to, on a weekly basis, maybe perhaps to bring the reports so that we can table them in the House. And then on the last one is on the BRRR as well. I think we must prevent what have happened on the last BRRRs that we had of all of the departments having to stand in passages to come and present to the committee. And it will speak to and link to Mr. Klaso yet again to the committee venues. The ones that you have presented here today, the 30 that you have presented here today of committee rooms that are there and that we're gonna work with, let it be a true indication. Because the last time we get a report on committee rooms, and that was not the true reflection when work needs to be done. And then you have departments the one department have to wait for the other committee to finish with their work, so the other committee can start with their business. It doesn't paint a good professional basis of our work. And now you members have to rush through these presentations. So it's really, we need to plan properly. The programming must be aligned to the committee rooms that is available, so members can do their work effectively, and we don't have situations where it's just a hustle and bustle to get through this BRRR reports. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ntlangwini. I have Honorable Ghana, Dinner and Frolic. Honorable Ghana.
Thanks very much, Deputy Speaker. One of the issues, in the same way that we are programming committee reports, I think what we should make provision for, it's ministerial statements on either on Tuesday or on Thursday. So we kind of plan ahead, because what has happened, for instance, with the ministerial statement of water, because we did not have a programming committee meeting last week, which would have programmed that, it got in a way inserted into the program, and we only got to learn about the ministerial statement when the program was circulated on, I think, on Friday or weekend. So I think what we then need to do, in the same way that we make provision of member statements, motions, and so forth, let's have a date that it's set aside for a ministerial statement. It'd be a Tuesday. If it's a Tuesday, it's a Tuesday. And then ministers will know that they have a slot on Tuesday. If they don't take that slot, then we continue with the business of the day. But we know, in the same way that we know when we are submitting member statements, when we are doing motions and so forth, we'll know when ministers could make ministerial statements. It helps with a lot of planning and not be caught off guard, because you only learn on Sunday evening that the minister is making a statement, and that is not great for planning. So I propose a programming whip, that on Tuesdays we have member statements, and then we have ministerial statement. If there's no minister that's making a statement, that's fine. We'll continue with the business, but everyone must know that there's an opportunity for ministerial statements, and they can then work of that program. Thanks very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ghana. Yes, I think that would be a possibility and can be considered. Also, keeping in mind always that some of those statements are based on events that happen that you cannot foresee. So you won't always know in due time what the topic will be. But I think notice has been taken of that. Then Honorable Dinner.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I have two proposals that I want to make with regards to the program. The first one is this afternoon. I would like to propose that we combine orders 5 and 6 with regards to the draft notices of salaries of magistrates and judges, because they are both presiding officers in our courts. I think we'll be essentially repeating ourselves. So I'd just like to put that on the table. And then, Deputy Speaker, with regards to the third term program, where we have member statements every second week that are not combined with motions without notice and notices of motions, I'd like to suggest that, because we will have more time during those sittings where we only have member statements, that all of the parties get at least one opportunity to make a member statement, and not according to the opportunities that we've approved in this forum. So those are my two proposals. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. I'm sure Honorable Dugmore has taken note of that, but that is also something that we will have to take to the Rules Committee in terms of the different speaking times that we have agreed to in the Rules Committee. Thank you. Then Honorable Frolic.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. No, you're correct. It's certainly a Rules Committee matter that was decided upon right at the outset. May I just indicate that as far as committee reports are concerned, and you would have seen in the sixth parliament, there's a number of reports. Problem and the challenge we always had from the committee side is that the reports are completed by the committees, but it doesn't find its way onto the program of parliament. And I'm glad that the new programming work has made a commitment that we do receive those reports. And that's why we have the report from correctional services when oversight visit took place quite recently, so that it's still relevant. But we need to ensure that the committee reports, it's important work, find expression in the House and it's adopted by the House. Otherwise, it just remains under the line and it has no effect on what members have seen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Frolick. Yes, that is important. I think sometimes when you look what is under the line, it is shocking, the list of committees, and then we rush through it at the end of a term because we have to deal with it. So yes, thank you, Honourable Dugmore, as well then for paying attention to that. Honourable Tlhakudi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to support the proposal made by Honorable Ntlangwini that with regard to Member Support Forum, we can find a day during the constituency period to meet as a committee. But I want to propose that maybe if we can meet in Gauteng, because Gauteng is central for all of us, because we'll be on constituency period. Then the other thing, we used to have reports coming also to the Chief Whip's forum so that we deal with them before they are sneaked into the House. So now we can see that we have these ones of magistrates and judges. So we must approve that. And
Thank you. I might just say on your first proposal, Honourable Tlhakudi, I'm speaking on behalf of Honourable Horn that the Free State is the middle of the country, so I think the meeting should be in the Free State. Honourable Horn and then Honourable Dugmore.
Yeah, and as we learned earlier this week, it's much, I think, much safer to fly to Bloemfontein than to other places. Deputy Speaker, yeah, I can confirm to the committee that the first prize or the first attempt in engaging with the NCOP was to actually find a day during the constituency period, but they were not amenable to it. They said that their members must spend their constituency period in their constituencies. I will re-engage, and if they become amenable, we can do that. I can maybe also, just for the sake of guidance, say that the whole idea is to have this first meeting a bit longer than usual and in person, so that we can deal with a legacy report and get a full briefing from all involved, and then thereafter we can definitely look into virtual meetings, or as has been suggested, meetings after the business of the day has ended. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Dugmore.
Chair, I think all the points have been noted, and our Deputy Chief Whip and House Chair have responded to a number of the issues. The only thing that I wanted to raise, which to some extent was covered on the issue regarding ministerial statements and so on. I mean, clearly, I think the proposal for Tuesday is a good one, but I think, as you yourself indicated, Chair, there might be an issue that comes up, So that's obviously a prerogative of the executive members themselves to bring those. But I think the other issue just for members and who represent parties that are not in the GNU, there's also the option of matters of urgent public importance. And so far, it's only one of the parties, the DA, whose urgent matter is coming up today. So that's also another option, that members who are in the executive or sort of in the broad GNU and opposition are able to bring a matter directly into the House. And just as the point that the Chair of Chairs raised on committee reports, I think it's important that we make use of those particular mechanisms that we have for oversight. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Dugmore. There is one outstanding matter, and that is the matter raised by Honourable Denner on the combining of the items this afternoon. I would like to find out perhaps from Mr. Kasu whether that is possible or not.
It is possible, ma'am. Ms. Lyons will just give the detail.
Honorable members, we will combine orders 3 and 4, which is the draft notice and schedule for the public protector and the deputy public protector. And then we will combine orders 5 and 6, which is the salaries payable to the South African Human Rights Commission. And then we will combine orders 7 and 8, which deal with magistrates' salaries. And order 9 deals with the salaries of judges, so that will be a standalone order.
Thank you very much. So those items will then be joined and the declarations per party will cover both the items at the same time. So please inform your members accordingly. That is then the matter on the program. Any announcements, Mrs. Kasu?
Okay, the two issues, because members are looking at the program and they don't see item 9, but it's on the order paper, the list of the items that were mentioned by Ms. Lyons. Tomorrow, honorable members, there is a political working committee. It's meeting at 9:30 in this venue. We have asked for 30 names from all the parties, different parties, of course. And we wish to remind members that we'll be meeting here in person at 9:30. The team is led by House Chairperson Frolic. We think that by 12 o'clock we should be done tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kasu. And honorable members, that then concludes this meeting. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.